are on Monday of a 3-day week, and we're all feeling it a little bit. I'm feeling it too. I'm ready for a break myself. That being said, I want to start off today by saying I appreciate that you're here today. I appreciate that you guys are showing up, bringing your A game, that you're already being willing to be part of the conversation, and I promise you, I will make Monday and Wednesday worth of time this week. So let's have the best time we can together as we are all in need of a break. How many of you, by show of hands, are going home for the holiday? Yeah, for those of you who are not, I hope you're going someplace where you at least get a good meal and some time to hang out with folks. But for those who are traveling, please travel safe. Guys, for the rate of return, I had my last call last week for this, but if you made any updates to your rate of return, I'll still look at it again, and I'd love to give everybody full credit for that. So if you have resubmitted and I have not regraded, please let me know. The stock game, just remember, we're going to be wrapping up the stock game on the 31st. This Wednesday is the last day of the stock game. You have till the 9th to put your portfolios together. If you're having problems with that stuff, hit me up. If you're having problems with the interface that you're using to monitor your stocks, hit me up. If you're questioning sources or plagiarism, hit me up. Up until we get about a day or two away from the deadline, I'll gladly take a look at your material and give you feedback. If you hit me up the night before it's due, I can't help you. If you give me a little bit of time, I will always give you a read before you submit. Guys, I'll be asking for a report from Career Services this week about Handshake to make sure everybody's profiles are in. And the only assignment that you have due right now, other than your stock game, is to do the little discussion post by the 5th, by April 5th. You don't have to worry about it, but you might as well get it out of the way. What franchise would you start? And that was based around one of our last chapters. So, guys, our next test is going to be on chapters 4, 5, 6, and 16. As soon as we finish this chapter, chapter 6, we're going to have our second test in here. Is our final in this class cumulative? It is not. It's a normal test. So you have nothing to stress about. How many of you have high stakes cumulative finals in other classes? Yeah, what class, if you don't mind me asking? So you got a big one. So Grace, you got a big one too? I thought you had your hand up. I'm sorry. Which class? What class is that? Oh, finite. Well, good luck on those. This will be a low-stress final for you guys. I promise you that. And lots of bonus questions. So, guys, we talked about a lot of things today in terms of who you like as leaders. I'm asking you, if you would, in a word or two, respond to this poll and tell me what you think makes a good leader. What makes a good leader? That's pollev.com/KentTonkin063. I agree with that one. Patience, too, yes. Boy, determination is getting all the love today. I love it. Patience as well. Very good. Funny. Oh, I like that one too. You guys have some good attributes here. But determination seems to be appealing to a lot of folks. Well, somebody who picked determination, tell me why they picked that word. I think it's a really good word. Why did you guys pick determination? Or why, if you didn't pick that word, why is determination so important for leaders? What do you think, guys? There's a bunch of you picked this one. The word got big. Why is that important? Help me out, guys. It'll make the class go much more quickly. Yes?
If the leader's not determined, then the people following them aren't going to be determined either.
Yeah, exactly right. You set an example. You got to have a vision. You are setting the pace for the company. I think determination. Let's think about this, guys. You mentioned, for example, your dad's store turned a profit in a year. That's crazy good. So there are going to be times where things are tough, where you're trying like hell to get people excited about your product or your store. You got to work hard at this stuff. You got to have determination. What about patience, guys? I think that's a wonderful, wonderful term up here as well. Why patience? Why is that important for a good leader? Yes.
Things don't happen right our way sometimes, and you just have to have the patience, and I guess also the determination to stick with the game plan that you know is going to work, even though it may not be showing results right away.
The old expression is stay the course. Can you stay the course? And the other thing too, guys, let's think about this, for example. We start talking about people who just got hired. Nobody is a fantastic employee immediately. By the way, you guys, from the moment a new employee gets hired with a company, how long does it take for them to really be ingrained in a company? From the moment they get hired till they are really functioning well and understand how the company works. Anybody have a guess how long that usually takes? Yes.
6 months.
It's about 6 months. Very good. You must have taken an HR class or something. So it's about 6 months. And so that means you have a couple of choices as a leader or a manager. You got the new person who's not doing well. Do you berate them or do you encourage them? Do you tell them everything they're doing wrong or do you tell them some of the things they're doing right as well? Vulnerability is a really good one. Speaking of vulnerability, if somebody picked that word, would you be willing to tell me why you picked that word? Because I love that word. Somebody who's willing to be a human being as well. Yeah, I love that word. And guys, who here has ever worked for somebody, and this is in quotations, how many of you have ever worked for somebody who never makes a mistake? Never makes a mistake. Raise your hand. You work for that person. Why do we like it when people admit when they're wrong? Because it humanizes them. It shows that they're negotiable. For example, so there are times in this class, believe me, many times in this class, when I've made a mistake on a question for an exam, somebody's pointed it out to me. I can dig in my heels and say, well, you know what? You're wrong and I'm right, even though I know I'm wrong. Or I can admit that I'm wrong and I'm a human being, in which case there might even be some trust built in the process. I love that confidence is up there as well, knowledgeable too. People who are good leaders. We tend to respect people who we see as credible. Optimism, people who believe in the future. These are all really good things, guys. What it really comes down to is leadership is not just talking the talk, it's walking the walk. So we're going to be talking, guys, there's a difference between management and leadership, and we're going to be talking about why they're both important things within companies. We're going to talk about the ways in which people can plan in companies to make things happen. We're going to talk about what managers actually do. And guys, we actually will make up what we call a corporate culture. When we think about companies like Tesla, for example, we talked about Elon Musk, but when I say the word Tesla, what words immediately come to mind? And when I say Tesla, what do you think of?
Electric.
Oh, definitely electric. What else? Innovative. Yes. What else comes up? I love Tesla. He's a great company. What else comes up? What images come into your mind? Michael, you were thinking, what was it?
Alien.
Alien. Well, he might be an alien. He's pretty.
I mean, look, he's trying to move us to Mars. Like, I've been there. No, I'm kidding. But like, I think of spaceships, like when he says like Tesla spaceships and all that.
I agree. If you're not a creative person, if you don't love going to work every day, if you're not excited about your job, are you going to last at Tesla?
No.
Hell no. You're going to be weeded out. If you're not into being creative, you're not going to last at Google. If you're into just phoning it in, you're going to do great at Kmart, but Kmart's not long for this world. So our corporate culture is a result of how we behave and what behaviors we incentivize, and we're going to talk about what managers and leaders do in that. We're also going to talk about how managers and leaders actually make things happen and what kind of skills you need. I think that you guys, there's some of you in this room, if I were guessing, I would say on average we're going to have probably 30% of people in this room at some point will end up working in management. How many of you have already worked in management in some way? Have you ever directed people? Grace, you directed people. What's it like? They want the answers, but they don't want to give any credit sometimes. Is that a fair statement? Yeah, they call it paying the cost to be the boss. Well, that's what management is sometimes, guys. Management, this is a wonderful definition out of our textbook. It's the development, maintenance, and allocation of resources to attain organizational goals. I like the old definition, getting things done through other people. That can be really tough. We've got a certain way that we do things. I have a certain way I like doing things. And for me to hand off to somebody else and say, you're going to do it the way you want to do it, That's tough for me because I'm a very type A kind of person. But management is all about letting go of some of that control. So if you're a manager, these are things that you have to do. In a company, you're trying to figure out, or a company, a nonprofit, or a sports organization, all have managers. You're trying to think what could possibly go wrong, what problems could result, and how can I prepare for them in advance? What kind of resources, what kind of things do I need to accomplish the goals of my company? How do I grow my people? How do I grow them into more effective parts of my organization? And finally, how do we make sure things are actually working? How do we review the results to see if things are working well? Let me give you an example, guys. How many of you have ever had a bad experience with wait staff in a restaurant? Will you share with me? I'm going to call Greg first. Tell me a little bit about a bad experience that you had.
Like they bring you the wrong food, or they're rude. They never stop home to check on your drinks.
So somebody who is all out of concern to give. They do not care, and they probably are having problems potentially even with the ordering system. Tell me some more.
One time I was in a restaurant and the lady bringing our food out, like, dropped the whole tray, like, right in front of us as we, like, she was about to give us our food. So then she had to go back in and make it, and then she brought our food back. I got a burger, and inside of my burger was cold.
So,
and I had to ask for a new one. Yeah, it was a bad experience.
just phoning it in, right?
Yeah.
Check it out, guys. I will posit the following. Although there are bad people out there, although there are people who are lazy, there are people who just don't want to work. Oftentimes, these scenarios are the direct result of management failure. You didn't train the right people. You didn't train people correctly. Maybe you didn't hire the right people. Maybe you put terrible rules in place. Maybe your systems don't work. The thing that really sucks sometimes is how wait staffs get punished for bad managers. But all of these processes are part of that process. If you have somebody who isn't doing their job well, at some point a manager might be responsible. Some people, again, are just not good when it comes to working, but many people can be grown. And the things we're thinking about whenever we are managing a company, we've got efficiency versus effectiveness. Efficiency means how cheaply can we get something done. Effectiveness is getting the result. For example, I can get from 0 to 60 in either a Dodge Challenger or in a Dodge Neon. Which one's going to get me to 60 more quickly? The Challenger, for sure. Which one's going to get me there more efficient? The Neon. So it's a matter of how many resources can you apply against something. And again, if you swat a fly with a fly swatter versus a bowling ball, either will do the job. One takes more resources than others. So if you're a manager, you have to balance this stuff. You have to balance the fact that you want to pay people well and make them happy, but your company has to be profitable as well. Let me give you an example. What I'm about to say is not a denouncement of unions. I allow you to have your own opinion on organized labor. How many of you in this room, we can be honest here, we're all friends, right? How many of you have ever had a Twinkie? I love Twinkies. They're absolutely terrible for you, but I love them. There's one on display, I think, over in the Science Center. They've had out for like 5 years. It has never decomposed. Hostess, the company that made Twinkies, basically said to its labor, look, we're paying you everything we can pay you. The labor union said, we want more money and we don't care where it comes from. We want what we want. As a result, Hostess went out of business because it couldn't pay what labor was asking for. So sometimes there are economies of scale which only work under certain economic conditions. In this case, somebody else ended up buying all the intellectual property, and Hostess has a new owner now because the union wanted more than the company could afford. So efficiency, effectiveness, and balancing acts are part of this whole thing. So what do we do, guys? What do managers do? Again, we plan, we organize, we lead, and we control. Planning means we're trying to figure out where are we going? Where are we going in the next year? Where are we going in the next 5 years? How do we make a plan that will give us a roadmap to where we want to go? We're going to organize, meaning we've got to make sure that things actually work well. Things are lined up correctly. That we've got efficient structures in place to make sure we're making good use of our time. Then we've got leading, which means we're showing people that we care about them. We're motivating them. We're trying to get them to do the job well. And control. We're measuring how well people are doing the job. We have performance standards we're going to compare people to. If we do these things well, we get effectiveness and efficiency, and we have a company that's meeting its goals. I'm going to illustrate for you how this actually works. I need a volunteer. Well, somebody volunteer to help me with an exercise. I need 2 volunteers. Otherwise, I'm going to randomly call on some folks. I need 2 volunteers. I promise it's not painful. Cool, volunteer to help. I may just randomly call on 2 folks here. I think it's going to be Stefan's going to help me, and who else is going to help me? Let's see. I think Gerard's going to help me. So, Stefan, you're staying home dry. You're going to Subway. I'm going to illustrate this thing. Tell me at your house how you make a sandwich. First of all, what's your favorite sandwich? Peanut butter and jelly. Tell me the whole process from the moment you get in your kitchen, how you make that sandwich. So you've had to walk to like 4 different places in that kitchen to be able to do that task, because that's the way the kitchen's laid out. So, all right, come up here, man. You're going to Subway. Hi, welcome to Subway, sir. How can I help you today? What do we have?
Can I get spicy Italian?
Spicy Italian. What kind of bread do you want?
Cheese. Italian herbs cheese.
You want a 6 or you want 12?
6-inch.
All right, 6-inch. What do we have it on there?
I'm gonna just do provolone.
Provolone. Okay. Double cheese or no?
No.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
On the side. And then over here, probably gonna get lettuce. What's the Chipotle ranch? I think that's the new one.
Yep.
Gonna get that. And then that's it.
You want some chips or cookies or anything?
Side of chips.
Side of chips. How about a drink?
Yeah, water.
All right, here you go. All right, sir. This one's on the house. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much.
That whole process, what did you notice in terms of the difference in the way that this sandwich making process worked versus making it in your kitchen?
All the ingredients is right in front of you.
It's very linear. It's efficient. It's all right there. I didn't have to walk across the kitchen to be able to do this. I didn't have to get bread from a different place. Not that anything's wrong with Stefan's kitchen. That's how kitchens are laid out. But this process is very intentional. It's designed to be efficient for the customer and the person working there. It's designed so we can quickly make a damn hoagie or a sub, depending on where you come from, and that the person who is ordering that item gets out the door quickly so the next person can come in. If you want the extra meat, you're going to pay for it. That's the way the system is designed. That's the difference between a well-designed system and one that is not, and that's what management is all about, making sure that system rolls out. Now, my boss might come, and actually, Will's my boss here. Like, did I do anything that I shouldn't have done in this whole process, or did I do okay?
Okay.
I probably put a little bit too much of the ranch dressing on. I should have charged double for that. I know. I did give him a piece and a half of cheese. Will could yell at me, or he could kindly reprimand me, or he could just tell me don't do it again. Ultimately, in the long run, if he's being productive with me, I am going to be more loyal to the organization. So management is getting things done for other people. And when we're talking about the 4 key functions of management, we're talking about planning. We're talking about organizing. We're talking about leading. We're talking about putting products in a way that they're most efficiently produced. And again, anything can be effective. You can use a bowling ball to kill a fly, but a fly swatter is more efficient. Effective is not the same as efficient. We want efficiency in this process, guys. In fact, that's one of the big questions these days. When we start thinking about efficiency, does that sound like we're going to need fewer or more people working? We say we want to be more efficient. What does that generally mean? It's going to be fewer or more people working if we're going to be efficient. Fewer people. More machines, fewer people. More touch screens, fewer people at McDonald's. And that's exactly why we have to talk about this stuff. And guys, we're gonna dive deep into each of these areas a little bit here, but we've been going fast here pretty well for about a half hour. So it is time for, yes, your first opportunity for the week of March 29th to ask any questions you so desire to ask. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry? I did. Well, I'm sorry about that. I marked you present. That just means I'm going to sit here for a second, have my coffee, and hear who your hero is. She's open to criticism. That's awesome, by the way. And when a leader is open to criticism, when a leader is open to hearing from the people they lead, what message is he sending? Problem solver. I love it. And one of the points I think is really great about that is in organizations, sometimes the person who's the leader doesn't really have all the answers. They're good at helping people find their own answers. They're good at helping people figure it out, but they don't have to know everything. I think that's a very powerful message. It sounds like you have a great coach, too, by the way. So that is a fantastic example. I'm sorry for missing you during roll call. I'll try not to make that happen again. Any other questions before we continue, guys? That's an excellent question. Questions, comments? All right. Well, guys, we're going through these steps in a little more detail now. People who plan. If you're a manager who enjoys planning, you'll find lots of work. There's something we call project management. By the way, anybody who gets a certificate, it's called a project management professional. Those folks generally start off in about the six-figure range, depending on where you live. So if you like management, if you like planning, project management could be for you. But planning means you're trying to look and head off things that could happen in the long run. If I'm planning, for example, for a subway, I probably want to think, for example, we're having problems right now getting things through the mail because UPS and FedEx and all these companies are so tied up. So if I'm waiting on new brochures or promotional materials, I may want to order more than I think I need, so I've got extra. That's an example. Strategic planning means that you are creating long-range plans. You're looking to the future. You're looking to see how you're going to accomplish your goals. Let me give you an example of what strategic planning might look like. Can anybody here tell me, what's a sport that we currently don't have at St. Francis that you would think would be cool to have at St. Francis?
Baseball.
Baseball, great. Let's say, for example, we wanted to start a baseball team. I think that would be awesome, by the way, because I love it. How many of you are baseball fans? I am so, you're not a fan though, huh?
No, it's just weird that we don't have baseball.
It is weird that we don't have baseball. You know, the funny thing is though, man, I'm not even the world's biggest baseball fan, but I'll go to a baseball game anytime. At night in the park, cold beverages and cool people, man, sign me up. I'm not going to get any cold beverages here other than Pepsi. With that being said, if we want to start a baseball team, what don't we have? We don't have a field, for sure. What else don't we have? We don't have space, for sure. We're out of property, we're out of space. What else don't we have?
Players.
We don't have a player. We don't even have one player. We don't have a coach. We don't have a recruiting mechanism. We don't have any of these things. So we have to build all that stuff to be able to start a program. And we have to put that stuff in place before we recruited the first player. Otherwise, we don't actually have a program. So that would take a strategic plan. If I were a betting man, if we wanted to start a baseball team, we'd need at least 3 years lead time. That would be my prediction. Because we'd have to get property, we'd have to get a field, we'd have to get approval from the NCAA, which is an administrative duty. We'd have to recruit a coach. We'd have to start recruiting players. It would take an awful lot of work. I think it'd be cool as hell. I think it'd be great if we had a baseball team. But it's something that would take strategic planning to be able to pull off. So guys, and when you're creating strategic plans, again, you're looking 1 to 5 years out. Depending on how big your organization is. Some people will say, strategic planning is 3 to 5 years. It depends. If you've got a small organization, 1 year could still be a strategic plan. Everything that guides what you do is your mission statement. And I don't know if anybody's ever recreationally read mission statements, but raise your hand if you've at least heard the term. Yeah. Our mission statement is a statement that kind of distills what your company is all about, and it guides what you do. For example, somebody with a laptop or a personal cellular device, look up Google's mission statement for me. Just Google mission statement. See how fast Google works here.
Yes.
Check it out. They epitomize their entire company in one sentence. To organize the world's information and make it useful. That's a great mission statement. And that means anything that doesn't fit with that, you're not probably going to do. If you look up mission statements for really well-run companies, they tend to be pretty focused. Will somebody look up the mission statement? I'm just curious what theirs is now, because I've never looked at it. Will somebody search for the mission statement for Subway? I'd like to hear what their mission statement is. Really curious. Yes? Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, one sentence. We know they want you to get cheap, high-quality food that you're going to tell your friends about. Those are good mission statements, guys. They tell us what we're going to do and what we are all about. You make decisions as leadership and management for a company based on what your company's goals are. If you're Tesla, for example, your goals may be more audacious than Subway's. Well, I hope they're more audacious because you're building spaceships to go to Mars and cars that are driving themselves. But that still drives what we do. And that is what a mission statement is all about. So if I ask you guys, what's the document or sentence or verbiage that tells a company what they're about and where they should be going, where they should be strategically going, you tell me that was a mission statement. How many of you have ever heard of a SWOT analysis, by the way? Do you know what it means?
Situation. No. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities.
You got it. A SWOT analysis is a great way of determining how are we doing and how are we living up to the mission, for example. But we're going to go in 4 quadrants here because everybody's got to say something today. So we got strengths here. We got weaknesses here. We got opportunities and we got threats. And we're going to do a quick SWOT analysis on St. Francis University. So rows 1 and 2 here, what's the strength of St. Francis University? Tell me one. Beautiful campus. For rows 3 through 5 here, tell me what's the weakness of St. Francis University? Location. It's still snowing and it's freaking March. What? Yes, go ahead. You guys are opportunities, and what is the other? I still didn't hear. I'm sorry. Study abroad. That's an opportunity. It's a good one. And what's the threat here, guys? Yeah, there are less expensive schools. There are other schools. They're not St. Francis, but they are other schools. That's a great example of how you can see where your company is. That was a very simple exercise we just did, but that's how you make sure you're living out your mission if you're working in leadership. Well, strategic planning is where are we steering the ship? Where are we going? Hopefully, if we're passing through the Suez Canal, we're going straight. Who's been watching that, by the way? How would you like to be the person who made that decision? That being said, we get into tactical. And tactical is what are you doing now? What are you doing less than a year from now? If we are, for example, our strategic plan is to start a baseball program at St. Francis University, our tactical plan might be to do a survey of people who are stakeholders at St. Francis to find out if they think it's a good idea. Our tactical might be to take a quick walk around and say, are there places that could be repurposed? If you're Subway and you're trying to reposition your entire brand to be friendly to vegetarians, that's strategic. If you've got a problem because people are complaining your stores are dirty and they need cleaned up, that's tactical. Tactical is boots on the ground, to use military speak. It's things that you have to do in the short term to make sure you're living up to your mission statement. Then we get to operational. Operational means how are we building plans that will facilitate our company operating well. An operational plan would be, for example, we just decided Subway, we make subs, but now we're going to do burgers in the same line as well, so you can get any topping you want on a burger. Oh, crap, we got to change our whole layout here because now we need some place for hot food. And that's an operational planning issue, and you have to make objectives that will meet that goal. So you're going to say, basically, we're going to make new counters for 3 million restaurants in the world to have hot food and a grill in the back. We also can get what we call contingency plans, and that means backup plans. So our backup plan for the burgers, for example, if that doesn't work out, we're going to use that extra hot foods part of things for pizza. That's a backup plan. You always have to have a backup plan. And the last year of our lives, We've been running on one giant backup plan. Did most businesses have a plan how to operate during COVID-19? Most people have never lived through a pandemic before. So all of a sudden we're saying, how can we make this work? Most schools had never operated through a pandemic. Now, after you've been through one, however, you got no excuse not to have a plan. For example, God forbid, and I am knocking on this wood hard, if COVID came back with a wall up, what would be our course of action? What would every school on the planet do? We go back online. That is our new contingency plan. And that's why it's so important, because business moves fast and the world is becoming more unpredictable all the time. This is a pretty good breakout between the types of planning. Again, strategic is 1 to 5 years. And it's looking at the big picture. It's making sure that you are making your mission, making big changes in the organization, doing big things. Tactical means people are making daily decisions that affect the organization. Operational means maybe you're making division level changes. You're making a change to the way that you do things. And contingency means you've got a backup plan. And in terms of contingency planning, everybody from the middle on up is an important part of that planning process, because you have to determine what's essential. For example, when we went online last year, when we had to send our students home after spring break, there were certain things that continued and certain things that did not. Learning continued. People still got their degrees. People had to take tests. They get certifications. They didn't get to play sports. So we had to make a decision on what was going to be top priority. And that's what contingency planning is all about as well. Guys, we're going to cover a couple more slides here, but I need just a second for a breath and a sip. Does anybody have a question? I have a question for you. In terms of the last year, when we think about the things that have changed in the way that we do everything, once we're out of the woods, once we're past COVID, what is something you feel will not go back to the way it was? Is there anything, any change that's here to stay? What do you think? What do you think?
Well, in my case, I feel that right now I have a problem cleaning everything, like with floors and stuff. So I think that's not gonna change.
I'm with you. I'm obsessive with hand sanitizer now. I never used to be one of those people, but I am one of those people. So obsession with cleaning, I agree with you. What's something else you guys think is here to stay? I'll give you a hint what one I think is. What am I walking toward right now? What's that? Yeah, I think this is here to stay. As much as I hate it, and as much as I hate talking to a camera, I think it's here to stay, because what we've realized now is there are lots of reasons that people could attend class remotely if they can't be here. And it's not just going to be because of COVID-19. More people are going to be working remotely too. I think it's necessary, but I'm not going to say I love it. So guys, in terms of continue, we're going to hit a couple more points here today. We talked about mission statements already briefly a little bit. But what a mission is all about is basically telling you what the company is about. You have 3 parts to it. Your purpose. Google basically said our purpose is to organize the world's information. Values. Subway said basically their value is that they want to make sure that people want to eat there again, will tell their friends about it. So their value is satisfying the customer. Sometimes there's an action in a mission statement. What do we plan on doing to make the world a better place? Google is organizing the world's information. So its purpose and its action are tied together. But a mission statement is your guiding principle. Guys, sometimes when companies try to be too many things to too many people, that's when the company falls apart. For example, how many of you in the last 6 months of your life, at least once, have been to Chick-fil-A? Yeah, they have a pretty established brand, and we know what they make. Let's say tomorrow Chick-fil-A said, you know what, to heck with this eat more chicken thing, we're going to start making burgers too. Would that strengthen or weaken the brand? What do you think? I think it would weaken it too, because it would take away from their specialty. All of a sudden, the mission is no longer what it used to be. All of a sudden, what the company is about will have changed. And there are reasons when companies abandon what they're all about that they fail. And that happens all the time. And we get into organizing. Actually, you know what, guys? Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that the fall, right now it's 9:44, and I'm going to say if we can get 2 quality questions, we're going to end class a little early today because I can tell you guys are feeling it. We need 2 quality questions. It can be a question, it can be a statement, or it can be a verse from your favorite song. Michael, go ahead.
If you could ask 114 to St. Francis, what would it be?
One, like a type of sport?
Yeah.
I agree with baseball. I think baseball would be cool as hell. I'd love to see baseball, although believe it or not, up until 1991, we had a rifle team. Literally people who were competition shooters. One of my friends was one of the last rifle scholarships to come here. So we've had weird sports in the past. So that's a good question from this side of the room. I need a good question from this side of the room. Yes?
What's your favorite sport to go to see?
Baseball. You know, I know that sounds weird because didn't you say you didn't love baseball that much? Well, it's true. But man, a night in Curve Stadium, if the Curve's winning, that's great. If they're not winning, as long as I got a Curve burger and a beer, it's still great. So, what about you? What's your favorite?
Probably soccer, but any sport going to the stadium.
It's all about the experience. Have a wonderful day, guys.